What's happening? What's happening?
Yo, we're here in Texas. There's a giveaway behind us. You didn't know. Jared Aguilar.
Tyler Adams.
And who do we have here?
Kelsey Adams.
Yeah.
There she is. Hello.
All
Fellow
the way-
classmate here. Yeah.
Fellow classmate all the way from...
Mississippi.
So, I just want to say this. If you think you're hustling out there, Miss Adams drives how many hours?
8.5.
8.5 hours back from where in Mississippi?
Right outside of Jackson.
Jackson, Mississippi to Austin, Texas, basically every other weekend for physical therapy school, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hustling
So,
hard.
Hustling.
if you think you're hustling,
You're not.
okay. On this episode of the Duck Legs Podcast, we had the pleasure to interview Jerry Durham. If you don't know Jerry Durham, you probably haven't been on Twitter at all ever in your life. He's the legend of Twitter. If there was a physiotherapy Mount Rushmore, his face would probably be all four faces. He's the Cash PT legend. When I first started getting on social media and Twitter, when you log on, I think you told me this too, he's one of the first people that pops up when you're like, I like physical therapy things.
Pops right up.
Pops right up. He's widely known for cash-based physical therapy, widely known for being a business owner and providing that Disneyland-like patient experience, right?
Yes. We even hear it more with all the people we've interviewed that it's so much of it is the patient experience, right? You get your clinical stuff in your beautiful school, but too often it's overlooked that you're just really not giving the patient the experience that they need.
That's one of the reasons I wanted to go to PT school. You really get that time, that period of time to develop a relationship with the patient, their family. They overcome some big obstacles. You make some big improvements in their life. So I think that's one of the reasons I like physical therapy.
That we spend like the most time with patients and
And
people.
so your relationships are huge. On the TBI floor, it's just you see some traumatic stuff, and just to see people stand up for the first time or help somebody walk for the first time, and like this girl cried because she took 2 steps, like that is a big deal. You don't think about, we walk every day, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But, and you really get to know the families because they're there for a period of time.
Anytime I go to a hospital or any type of facility like that, it always makes you think, oh, I take so many things for granted about
Right.
movement, about taking those 2 steps.
Yeah. You walk away with a whole new level of being grateful.
And to make a shitty transition, we're grateful that we have Jerry Durham on the
Nice.
show.
Super grateful.
Jerry Durham has a bunch of cool courses for people to take if they want to learn empathy and become better people and provide a better patient experience.
Jerry Durham's one of those people that, again, when you first get out there, he's going to be right in your face, and we had the honor of giving a full hour of his time. So if you guys, instead of just seeing the quick tweet from him, instead of just seeing, just snippets, you get to actually see and dive into the man.
Jerry Durham's website, so you can find all of these amazing courses and the whatnot, and see him in a suit looking all dapper and handsome and whatnot. JerryDurhamPT.com. That's JerryDur HamPT.com.
I like what you did.
Yeah, I didn't even know I was going to do that until I did it.
Good.
So, that's JD. Enjoy the episode. Sure, if you want.
Broken up music. We like this style.
It's kind of one of those things. It's like the duck. You see a duck in the water, right? The duck looks like it's cool, but the duck's freaking working hard under the water. Wow, working hard. That's how our place is. We look cool, but we're working hard.
Hell yeah. Dude, you can ask my wife. My wife will tell you openly. And we probably should have saved this for the interview. But my wife always thought I was going to run off and join the Beastie Boys. Dude, she always looks at me and goes, you should have been the 4th Beastie Boy. And I said, I know, it was a dream of mine. But yeah, dude, I wanted to run away and join the Beastie Boys. Are you kidding me?
Hell yeah.
I'm like, 3 dorky white guys singing rap? I was like, Oh, I think I'm going to like this, dude. Back in whenever the hell it was, way back in the 80s.
Hell yeah. And so we have Dr. Jerry Durham?
No, sir. No,
No?
sir.
You don't need titles.
Jerry Durham. Well, no, there is no doctor. So if you're going to call me a doctor, I'm going to have to claim I play one on TV. No, I got my master's. I got out of school. And just for the record, for context, it wasn't anti anything. It was when the DPT rolled around, I looked at it and I looked at what it would offer me at the time. And I support the DPT 100%. It wasn't financially, time investment. It wasn't something I needed. So I moved on.
And I was going to jump right into Beastie Boys trivia, but since we're talking about DPTs now, do you think that was the right move?
I probably, the follow-up question should be, why do you support the DPT, Jerry? Seriously, and I'm not knocking you. It's just because the reason I support it is not because of what it gives a physical therapist. It's because of the public perception, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I support it because in public perception, in the healthcare system that currently exists, I think having a doctorate next to our name is beneficial for us to get some awareness, to open some eyes. And so then we can take our expertise and whatever we're talking about, and people are more ready to receive it and more willing even to receive it. So that's why I'm fully behind the DPT.
Okay.
And I'll leave it at this, because I've not gone through any of the schooling or anything, I won't comment on that. I do know, as I tell most of the students, you guys are coming out with the DPT. As soon as you hit the ground with your PT license, you're more prepared than I was. I'll give you that much. There's no two ways about that. I didn't have any of the differential diagnosis. I didn't have any of the radiology. I didn't have any of the pharmacology. I had to go learn that after I graduated. So I will say it's a better prepared person. What you do with it is the ultimate, right? But there you go.
All right.
You feel there should be no issues with students opening up their own practices right out of PT school?
Nope. No, I have absolutely no problem with that. It's funny when you sit in a room and you hear people talking about this. Typically the people who, this is my take, is when I step back and I think, why are people so harsh, push back against this? The resources available to you, the resources that were available to me 20 years ago, are completely upside down. So, I mean, you have the same resources that Warren Buffett has. You have the same resources that Gary Vee has. You have the same resources that anybody has, information-wise, to gather up information, to put something together, and then start it. What I had whatever I had. Again, we're going to set some context, and this is God's honest truth. The internet was in its infancy when I came out of school, and so the source and everything, the source of information was limited, and then where to find the information was limited. And so I think now, to put it in the context of what someone has and the conversations I see people in now, is every once in a while I got to double back and go, does that say SPT behind their name?
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's my long answer to, I have absolutely no issues. Because let's face it, it's not about starting a business. It's about creating something that will continue to exist. So the smart people will do the right things. And by the way, that hasn't changed in 100 years. The smart people who know how to run a business, who know how to engage their customer, who know how to ask for help, who don't have to be the smartest person in the room, who ask better questions, not try to give better answers, who ask better questions, who find mentors, will be successful. It's been that way for hundreds and thousands of years. So why not? Why shouldn't it continue that way?
Damn. How do you feel about that answer, Damir?
Great. So just to follow up, you speak of sort of kind of something that would continue to last and continue to grow. We had an interesting conversation that started on a mentorship group that I'm a part of that pretty much asks, is cash-based businesses scalable, or can they grow outside of just a single practitioner or single clinic. What are your thoughts on this?
It's interesting. I've been asked that frequently over the years, and just was recently asked that again. And so what I'll do is I'll give you the hard facts. Both people I know who started, so Jared Carter and Aaron LeBauer, whom I know, and there are a lot more other people out there, so I just use them because I know of them. They both have hired staff. They both have hired physical therapists, and they both have hired front office staff, so admin staff. So are they scalable? I would say yes, and then I would give the example of those guys. Here was the issue in the past. Someone asked me why can't and again, this is back to asking the right question. Why can't a cash PT business scale? My answer is the same reason any business doesn't scale. It's because their foundation is not in business principles. And when you look at Jared and you're looking at Aaron, they are based in business principles, and they are applying business principles. They are applying finance principles. They are applying marketing principles. They're applying hiring principles. So they both have a foundation of running a business. And we could do a whole podcast on what it means to run a business versus creating a job. In the past, and this comes from Michael Gerber's E-Myth, in the past, what I saw with the cash-based practices is the people who had opened that had created a job. And by the way, when I started my clinic over 16, 17 years ago, however long ago it was, I had created a job. And then I found the E-Myth some point after starting it and realized, okay, I have to build systems. So you can create a job and be very happy in your life. I know people who have. The problem is when people create a job and call it a business and then tout it as a business, right? So that's the big difference. So Cash PT, is it scalable? Yes. Is it being scaled? Yes. Is it going to get bigger? Yes.
Wow, that is so much to digest from that.
Yeah,
from there. And I know
don't forget I'm a little older than you.
Not by that much, right? But I mean, and I've heard Gene Shirak abroad, and you say that too. It's are you out of school, if you choose to go that route at some point, are you actually going to create a business, like you said, which means you were creating this for growth and all the other things you mentioned, or are you just giving yourself a job?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong. And remember, I created a business after I realized I had created a job. So keep that all in context, right? I'm like, sweet, I'm starting a business. And then one day I went, oh, I read E-Myth by Michael Gerber, and I'm like, Jerry, you created a job. So what are you going to do now? So I had a choice. And again, there are people very happy with their job, and let's face it, an Uber driver, that's a job. You didn't create a business. You work for yourself, but it's a job, right? And so if you understand the principles, then you can start asking the right questions. If you're an Uber driver, how can I make more money? Well, there are a lot of possibilities, right? If I run a business, how can I make more money? Well, there are different possibilities, and there'll be a little overlap, but still, man, when the Uber driver ain't driving on Saturday, there's no revenue going into his business, quote unquote. Not a business, it's a job. So the question you need to ask yourself is, if I leave what I'm doing for a week, 2 weeks, and I come back, will it be exactly the same? And no, a job is not, because you close the doors for 2 weeks.
Makes sense.
Gotcha.
So I'm pulling up a question right now from Twitter.
There were some good ones. There were some good ones on Twitter.
Oh yeah. So the first question I have is from Will Boyd. Two nobodies. Yeah, two nobodies. Great friends of the show. He asks, what continues to drive Jerry to be the leader he is? Also, a follow-up, has he ever had to overcome self-doubt in his career?
I'm going to say never.
Yeah, dude, if you don't have self-doubt, you can't grow, right? And we can call self-doubt different things, because people who reflect, right? So if at the end of your day you reflect and maybe you write some ideas down, some people call it journaling or things like this, of which I highly recommend. I just have a legal pad. I write stuff. You know what I do at the end of the day? I write my next day's schedule out at the end of the day. And I swear to God, I started sleeping better the day I started doing that. And it's just the stuff that moves out of the brain, right, onto a piece of paper. Now you see your day. You're not lying there in bed thinking about what you have to do the next day because you already wrote it out. And so you already have this grasp. So stuff like that. So when you journal, when you reflect, there has to be self-doubt in there. There has to be. And if not, then you're not asking, how can I be better? How can I do this better? How can I do more? So I would say a day doesn't go by. Right now I'm working on some new stuff, writing out some content, writing out a lot of it, sitting there the whole time going, when the fuck can I hire someone else to do this? And yet I keep stepping back and going, I have to do this now. I've got to learn how to do this. I've got to do this. I've got to put the time in, even though I'm not the best person at this, because I have to understand the process. Because if I do hire someone else to do this, I have to understand the job. And so, that's part of it. Ask me the first part of that question again.
What continues to drive Jerry to be the leader he is?
You know what I see? I see an opportunity for my profession to be far bigger and far greater than it is. And every day I post something or I read something or I do something and I see some people doing it a little differently. Or I read a story about how physical therapy made a big influence in someone's life. Or I see like a Facebook video about a patient posting a testimonial. All those things continue to push me to say, you know what, I got to keep pushing for this profession.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't treated a patient in 2 years, and I know people have different opinions of that. But my thing is I love my profession just as much as anybody else. I just want to try to see if we can be bigger and better. And if I was sitting across from patients all day, I don't believe I could achieve the greatness for the profession that I can doing what I'm doing now.
You saying that just makes me think back to every big pharmaceutical ad that's somebody walking next to the pond, pondering why their life is so great because they're on this medication or whatever. And then you hear the side effects go at the bottom, rather like death and diarrhea, right? So it's like, why don't we have that? Why don't, PT should be doing the same. We can do the same shit, except our commercials could actually have some sense of reality when we do have that housewife riding a bike and she actually is happy because she's moving again, right? Like that could be us, right?
So let me give you 2 examples of things that baffle me every single day. Twitter and Facebook. And let me tell you why they baffle me. I have never, ever scrolled past a post of a patient testimonial for a physical therapist or a clinic that I didn't retweet immediately or reshare. I don't read it. I don't look up the clinic. I don't care if they dry needle. I don't care if they're doing evidence-based medicine. I don't care how they develop their practice. I don't care if it's a job. I share it. We do not share this stuff. We have these opportunities to do that stuff you just said, Jared. And then yesterday, everybody needs to go to, yes, I know RJ. Yes, I'm going to be doing a course at his place. But man, everybody needs to go to RJ Williams' Facebook page. He's got a business in Las Vegas, and it's part of the physical group. And he posted a video today of a patient. He posts patient testimonials all the time. And maybe they're talking about what RJ's clinic did for them. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're just talking about their life. But these people are sitting in RJ's clinic. You see them doing work. You posted some dude yesterday. I couldn't comment and share the thing fast enough. He posted some guy who had become a paraplegic like 6 years ago. Couldn't stand, couldn't use his arms. He showed him in the clinic, and man, I mean, why 1 million physical therapists don't share that story is baffling to me. So back to your point, Jared, we have the opportunity to do this. And by the way, that a video of that guy and those patient testimonials will go 300 times farther than an ad of a fake TV ad, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. So we have this opportunity. Why people, and I'll find one right now, why people don't, I see these testimonials and like 30 people have saved it or liked it and nobody has retweeted it.
Yeah.
I look at that stuff all the time. I'm like, why is nobody retweeting this patient test? Again, I guarantee you, I don't have to know them. I don't have to know the clinic. I don't have to know if they did some funky cupping or tea leaves or what. It's just a person saying that their physical therapist made them better. And I'm like, click.
Yeah, that lack of sharing, or the discrepancy between likes and retweets can be disturbing sometimes.
It really is. And then you look at other things in other industries, and that's why, my booze shit always gets shared a lot, but oh well.
Yeah, huh?
And it's funny because we are really, really a profession of people that actually like dealing with others.
I know.
And it's crazy of all the infighting that happens even between the cash-based and insurance-based model, or between cupping and and dry needling. Is crazy of the infighting that would happen between us, but we'll smile in patients' faces and be generally sincere about it.
You are correct.
Talk about the next clinic right next to us. So completely crazy.
Yeah, it is. So there's a little take home. Start sharing those Facebook. Well, let's just put it this way. More people see that Facebook post than you think,
Yes, sir.
good or bad. I give you kittens. And by the way, for the record, whoever has the cat, that's not Jerry's cat. Because I give you cats on Facebook. And then the other thing is on Twitter too. Everybody thinks it's an echo chamber till it's not. And Vala Ashfar, who I follow, he shows stuff all the time. It's not. It's only an echo chamber if you created it, right? If you only follow people and engage with people who are like you, then yeah, you created the echo chamber that you created that you claim it is. So just share this stuff, man. Share it. We got so many avenues that cost us $0.
And this kind of leads into another thing. I know, sorry, Daimir, we're kind of going off track, but I just had to throw this one out.
Go ahead.
It's a reoccurring theme I hear from a lot of I'll call them like the PT, the physio Mount Rushmore, including you, Jerry, and let's put Ben Fung and Gene on there, all of y'all. And that is my cat, by the way. That's
Dude, that is too much. You can't make that shit up.
And so what my cat's trying to say is,
yeah, what is your cat trying to say?
He's wailing.
I love Jerry.
Oh, he's a huge fan, huge Giants fan.
Yeah, good.
But what he was just saying is like, where's the physio hustle, right? From what you're saying is, generally speaking, we don't promote each other's shit enough. I heard Ben Fong on a Periscope saying, essentially we don't hustle enough. How you'll go to any fair or any health fair, any marathon, and you'll see every other type of profession providing some sort of screens. I mean, he was like, shit, you'll even see 10 salesmen out there promoting their shit.
Right.
And we're nowhere to be found. So what do you think is the cause of that, and how, besides just get out there and doing that shit, what else can we do?
I think so. They're twofold. I got no way to prove the first one, but only life. Other than my life experience, I think that there's something that occurs when someone goes on and gets a graduate degree, and then all of a sudden starts to narrow their expertise. And we narrow our expertise when we go to PT school, because we narrow it down to physiology and science and things like that. Yet we won't admit to ourselves that we just narrowed our expertise. What I see is exactly the opposite. So people get out of physical therapy school, they get out of medical school, they get out of some graduate degree, and they immediately become an expert in everything, even though they just went to graduate school to become an expert in a very narrow field. So there is that we don't want to admit, which plays into the we don't want to admit what we don't know problem. So I think that's a huge part of it. And I run across it every day, whether it's a brand new grad, whether it's someone who's been out 30 years, it doesn't matter. And whether it's someone failing immensely who won't admit they need help too. That's the saddest story. So that's part one. Part two is, we are a pretty diverse profession. And there are a lot of people doing a lot of different things, meaning in different settings. So I think that's part of it. It always baffles me when our section meeting, our combined section meeting, is the largest conference of the year. So hear me out on this, because this is such a misnomer, like 30 times over. It's a combined sections meeting. So all the sections come together and combine, and yet everybody shows up and stays in their own track and doesn't go outside of their own section, doesn't do anything to try to increase their awareness of the other sections and what's going on. That always baffles me. Yet each section has its own conference, yet everybody shows up at the big conference to stick in their own section. So there's all those little things that start to add up. You know, we've got a lot of people with a lot of opinions and thoughts, and all you have to do is go on Twitter to see that. And I think there are a lot of good people challenging other people. And I think it will continue to grow that way. And I think the fact that you just asked me that question and you're not even out of school yet is a great sign for the future. So I think a lot of the stuff that we discussed today, we're on a trajectory to have a lot of this stuff disappear or start to change way more faster than the last 25 years since I've been out. So I think it will change because we see people doing it.
So another question from Twitter is from Laura Whitney. She asks, what do you think new grads should gain from a mentor, or what do you think about them seeking a mentor straight out of school, and do you feel like it is necessary to do that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's required because, well, it's funny because this could go different ways. People would say, oh no, everybody needs a mentor. And if you got the right job and you have coworkers who are helping you and instructing you, we could call that a mentor. So let's move beyond that one. So to say, are they, should it be required? No. I think what it takes is when you first get out of school, what you guys don't realize is you have the clinical skills to start helping people, and that's not your weakness. And what I see when people get out of school is they just put their head down and all they want to learn is more clinical skills. So in finding a mentor, yes, you want a mentor who will help you with clinical reasoning. We could call that a clinical skill, but it has nothing to do with your hands-on skill per se. So finding a good mentor for clinical reasoning to help you process, you sit in front of someone for half an hour, 45 minutes to process all this information that just came in. What does it mean? Your ability to do that will make you a far better PT than the hands-on clinical functional movement screen, any of that stuff skills. So you want good people around you who can show you how to do that. So if you want to call that a mentor, we can. Now, the second part of that is I always say you want a good clinical mentor, and then you want a good life or business mentor. So if you come out of school and you're striving to do more than just be a great clinical PT, then you've got to find someone who's doing what you want to do, right? So you got to find someone who's already doing what you want to do. So later on in my career, I really strived to find good clinical, so hands-on PT mentors, and then people outside of the profession. So both paid off dearly for me. Meaning the bulk of the education I got was through them.
I actually had a talk with one of your old homies, Alan Besselink, yesterday.
Yeah, dude. Did you tell him we were talking today?
I did.
Oh, cool, good.
He let out a big laugh.
Yeah, good. Tell him I said hello.
Will do. I remember I can't remember if I mentioned this to you last time we talked on the phone, but Alan said, I think this was for some CSM or PPS conference, that it was you, CSM, when y'all were all bunked together in Airbnb.
San Diego.
And he was like, it was just an amazing feeling that everybody in that room wanted to disrupt healthcare and make changes in some way. And it felt like y'all were just unstoppable and could go out there and accomplish anything, right?
It was such a great night. And you know what happened? We'd all go to the conference. We'd split up in the morning. See you guys later. And then we'd get back and it'd be freaking late, meaning you'd been at a conference all day. You'd gone to dinner, you'd gone drinking. And then we'd come back and we'd all sit in the kitchen and drink more and eat more and stay up till 1 or 2, just all talking. And the cool thing about that, and let's go back to the other thing about the question you asked, and I talked about the diversity of our profession and how it's hard to get people to come together. I think what we saw in the house was that everybody had the same goal in mind. They just want to move the profession forward. So I think a lot of times if we just took a step back and said, look, all of us want to get to the same, to fight each other. We don't have to say you're wrong because you're not necessarily wrong as long as we're moving forward.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was a great time, man. That was so much fun.
Man, and that's what it should be, right? Just passionate folks hanging out, chilling all the time.
That is my preference. And
Damn, and I on my end, I caught you breaking up a little bit, but I heard that last part, and we're going to CSM in February, and
so break it up, and everybody go to a course that they wouldn't go to